Okay. Last question that I have to ask is, and I could, this is a treat of an interview where I have like so many questions I want to ask, and the exercise is just trying to pare it down. So the last question I'm going to ask about your yearly challenges is in 2015, and I kind of talked about it earlier, but you interviewed elderly people and asked them a set of 10 questions, and you posted some of those interviews on your blog. So the question I was curious, just with that, is what you took away. And I think part of it would be what you took away emotionally from that experience. I imagine it was, probably powerful in many ways. And then also just what you took away, if there was like a single reminder, a single lesson, a single, I don't know, just what you took away conceptually from those conversations as well.
So emotionally, I'll start with that because it was indeed at times very emotional. Remember this one interview with was a gentleman called Jeff, and I bumped into him in Union Square in San Francisco. I was there for some meetings, and I was doing my thing, and I went to the square, and I went to a couple of people, and all of them said, "Oh, I don't want to speak with you." And then I stumbled upon this guy, Jeff, and he was 82, but like full of life, and he had lost his wife, and he was traveling by himself at 82, like traveling the world. And he told me that the biggest thing that he learned from like 82 years of life is that it all goes in an instant, so that the emotional takeaway that I kind of often think about is how short life is actually. And then if you take that further a little bit, and think about events that you might have in your life. My dad's 74. He lives in Romania. I go to Romania twice a year in a good year. So that means I have another, 25, 30 times max to see my dad. That really puts the shortness of life in perspective. The kind of more interesting rational insights from speaking with all these folks were, one, I started with with some hypotheses when I started this experiment. And one of the hypotheses was that if you ask people at the end of life what mattered, none of them will mention money as it. They will all say, oh, family and whatever. And actually, most of them said that money is very, very important because you cannot bring a family up, you cannot enjoy life, you cannot travel, you cannot do anything if you don't have money. And so it wasn't money for the purpose of having money, but it was money for being able to bring up a family and enjoy happy moments with family and so on. And that was a really interesting, it changed my approach to things. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. Let's make a bunch of money then, so whereas before I had a more ambivalent attitude towards it, and I was like, it's actually important to be able to afford things with your family. So let's focus on that.
Yeah. I mean, I love that insight because one, it's controversial, or at least you wouldn't expect that that's what you would hear. And then two, it's, I think, to your point, depending on how you grew up, a lot of just people have very different perspectives on money. And what I mean by that is I've met a lot of people that view it very negatively. And I would say that has just viewing money as a negative thing, and viewing the pursuit of money as a negative thing, and viewing having money as a negative thing, obviously, shows up in a lot of areas of your life. So I also just love that it's a reframing of it's positive, but it's positive because it's fuel for life, not because you want to have it and be Scrooge McDuck and go dive through coins in your house.
100%. And actually, that's a perfect segue into the second thing that I learned that kind of was an interesting thing to see, which was none of these people, and I spoke with a whole bunch, regretted anything that had to do with work or career or profession or whatever. It was always to do with family and not spending enough time with family, or loved ones and not pursuing one's love. And it was always regrets were always related to people, not related to careers, which was a very interesting insight as well.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So we will link to all these in the show notes. Again, if you're curious, if you're on your phone now or the computer, you can find these at emigal.com/challenges. Super cool. I'm so glad you put those online and we're willing to talk about those. So thank you.